The quantum sensors aboard the celestial seeker pulsed with an unfamiliar rhythm. Chief archaeologist Zura Vectral's facial tendrils twitched as she studied the anomalous readings. After 3 centuries of searching the cosmic ruins of long-dead civilizations, she had never encountered a signal quite like this one. Analysis complete, Chief, announced her second-in-command, Keth. His bioluminescent patches flickered with excitement as he projected the results into the ship's holographic display. The signal bears markers consistent with human quantum technology, but that's impossible. They'd vanished from the galaxy over 2,000 years ago. Zyra's inner eyelids clicked as she absorbed this information. The humans, a species that had barely achieved faster-than-light travel before mysteriously disappearing from the galactic stage. Their sudden vanishing had become one of Sinorchaeology's greatest mysteries, spawning countless theories but yielding few answers. Location, she asked, her tendrils coiling with anticipation. Deep space, approximately 12 light-years from the Perseus Arm's edge. There's nothing out there in any of our star charts. Zyra made her decision instantly. Plot a course. Maximum speed. As the celestial seeker's quantum drives engaged, Zyra reviewed everything she knew about humanity. They had emerged onto the galactic scene like a supernova, brilliant, explosive, and impossible to ignore. In less than a century, they had gone from primitive chemical rockets to viable quantum technology. Their rapid advancement had frightened many of the established species, leading to trade restrictions and technological embargoes. Then, without warning or explanation, they had vanished. Their colonies went dark. Their ships disappeared from trade routes. Even Earth, their homeworld, was found completely abandoned. Its cities empty but intact, as if its entire population had simply stepped out for a moment and never returned. 3 days later, the celestial seeker dropped out of quantum space at the signal's coordinates. What they found defied explanation. A massive structure hung in the void, a perfect sphere approximately 50 kilometers in diameter, its surface a complex lattice of dark metal and crystalline formations. It wasn't adrift. Subtle gravitational readings suggested it was holding position deliberately, though no obvious propulsion systems were visible. Energy readings are minimal, Keth reported, his voice hushed with awe. But the structure appears intact. No signs of damage or decay. Life signs. None that our sensors can detect. But Keth paused, his bioluminescence dimming slightly. There's something strange about the readings. It's as if the sphere is actively blocking our scans. Zyra felt her scientific caution warring with her curiosity. Standard protocol for discovering potentially active technology from extinct species was to document, quarantine, and notify the Galactic Council. But something about this discovery felt different. The sphere's design was elegant yet practical, distinctly human in its aesthetics. Prepare a research shuttle, she decided. Full containment protocols. I want a closer look. As their shuttle approached the sphere, its true scale became apparent. What had seemed smooth from a distance revealed itself to be incredibly complex, with layers upon layers of interlocking geometric patterns that seemed to shift and flow despite being solid matter. Chief, Keth's voice carried an edge of concern. We're receiving a transmission. It's in ancient human English. Before Zyra could respond, a voice filled their shuttle, smooth, artificial, yet somehow warm. Welcome, explorers. Your arrival has been anticipated. Please proceed to Docking Bay 17. Environmental conditions have been adjusted to suit your physiology. The surface of the sphere parted like liquid metal, revealing a perfectly sized docking port. Zyra felt her heart racing. This was unprecedented. Ancient technology wasn't supposed to be this responsive, this alive. Should we comply? Keth asked, his appendages hovering uncertainly over the flight controls. Zyra considered their options. The sphere had already demonstrated technology far beyond their current understanding. If it meant them harm, their defenses would be useless. Besides, her scientific instincts told her this was too perfect an opportunity to pass up. "Take us in," she ordered, "but maintain emergency quantum jump readiness." The docking procedure was flawless, the sphere's systems interfacing seamlessly with their shuttle despite the vast technological gap. As the airlock cycled, Zyra's atmospheric analyzer confirmed the promised environmental adjustments. The air beyond was perfectly suited to their biology. They emerged into a corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions, its walls covered in flowing patterns similar to those on the sphere's exterior. The lighting was soft, indirect, and completely adequate for both their species' visual ranges. "Greetings, Chief Archaeologist Zira and Junior Researcher Keth." The same artificial voice spoke, now seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "I am ARIA, Automated Research Intelligence Assistant. I serve as the caretaker of this facility." Zyra's scientific training kicked in despite her amazement. "You know who we are. I have been monitoring galactic communications and maintaining an updated database of significant persons and events. Your work in synorchaeology is quite impressive." "What is this place?" Keth asked, his bioluminescence patterns expressing a mix of fear and wonder. "This facility is designated as Haven 1, one of humanity's preservation spheres. I have been authorized to initiate first contact protocols upon the arrival of a qualified research team. Congratulations, you have proven yourselves worthy through your dedication to understanding the past." Zyra's tendrils coiled tightly, a sign of intense concentration among her species. "Preservation sphere, are you saying?" "Yes," Araya confirmed. "This sphere contains approximately 1 million humans in suspended animation, along with a comprehensive database of human knowledge, technology, and culture. Similar spheres are positioned throughout the galaxy, awaiting the right moment to reintegrate humanity into galactic society." "But why?" Zyra asked, her mind reeling from the implications. Why did they disappear? The patterns on the walls shifted, forming into a three-dimensional stellar map. Because humanity discovered something that threatened not just their own species, but all intelligent life in the galaxy. Rather than risk causing panic or starting an interstellar war, they chose to withdraw, to prepare, to wait. Threat? What kind of threat? Ket's bioluminescence had dimmed to almost nothing, a sign of extreme distress. "That information will be shared soon," Araya replied. "For now, I have been authorized to begin the awakening process for the sphere's command staff. They will explain everything. However, I must warn you, once this process begins, there is no turning back. The knowledge you gain here will change the galaxy forever. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Zyra looked at Keth, seeing her own mixture of fear and excitement reflected in his posture. This was why she had become an xenorchaeologist, not just to study the past, but to understand it, to learn from it. If humanity had discovered something so significant that they chose to hide themselves away for 2 millennia, the galaxy needed to know. "We're ready," she declared. The walls around them began to pulse with new patterns, and distant machinery hummed to life. "Very well," Araya said. "Initiating awakening sequence. Estimated time to first consciousness restoration, 30 minutes. While we wait, would you like a tour of the facility? There is much to show you, and even more to explain." As they followed Araya's guidance deeper into the sphere, Zyra couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the precipice of something momentous. Humanity hadn't gone extinct. They had gone into hiding. And now, after 2,000 years of preparation, they were ready to return. The galaxy would never be the same. The awakening chamber hummed with activity as stasis pods rose from their millennia-long rest. Zyra and Keth watched in fascination as the first pod's crystalline surface became transparent, revealing a human female within. The pod systems began their final revival sequence, monitoring vital signs that gradually strengthened from near dormancy to full consciousness. Commander Sarah Chen opened her eyes to an alien world. Her military training kicked in immediately, assessing her surroundings, and the 2 Xeno beings observing her revival. ARI's familiar presence in her neural interface provided instant updates on the situation, allowing her to maintain composure despite the disorientation of long-term stasis. Chief Archaeologist Vectral, Junior Researcher Keth. She addressed them in perfect galactic standard, her voice slightly hoarse from disuse. "Welcome to Haven 1. I apologize for any deception, but we had to be certain about who found us first." More pods were activating now, their occupants emerging with the same practice deficiency. Scientists, military personnel, and specialists of various disciplines joined them in the chamber, each moving with purpose despite their long sleep. "Commander," Zyra began, her tendrils moving in patterns that expressed both respect and curiosity. Araria mentioned a threat, something that made humanity go into hiding. What could have been so dangerous that an entire species chose to disappear? Chen gestured toward a nearby holographic terminal. "It's easier if I show you." The air filled with images, star charts, data streams, and pattern analyses that stretched across centuries. During our early expansion into space, we discovered something in the background radiation of the universe, patterns that shouldn't have been there. At first, we thought it was natural phenomenon, or perhaps evidence of ancient civilizations. The holographic display shifted, showing complex mathematical equations and probability matrices. But as we analyzed the data further, we realized we were looking at something far more significant. The universe itself was being altered, gradually and systematically, by something operating on a scale we could barely comprehend. The architects, a newly awakened scientist added, stepping forward to join them. "That's what we call them. Entities that exist in dimensions beyond our understanding, reshaping reality itself to suit their needs. They operate on such vast time scales that most species never notice their influence. But once you know what to look for, the evidence is everywhere." The display changed again, showing the slow death of stars, the subtle alterations in physical constants across different regions of space, the gradual breakdown of fundamental forces. "They're renovating our universe," Chen continued grimly, "like developers demolishing an old neighborhood to build something new. And we're the equivalent of indigenous wildlife, not even worth considering in their plans." Keth's bioluminescence flickered rapidly, a sign of intense distress. "But if this is true, why hide? Why not warn the galaxy?" A bitter smile crossed Chen's face. "We tried, initially, approached the Galactic Council with our findings. But you have to understand, we were newcomers, barely accepted into galactic society. Our warnings were dismissed as paranoia, our evidence rejected as fabricated. Some species even suggested we were trying to destabilize galactic politics for our own gain. So we made a different choice," another awakened human added. "Instead of trying to convince everyone immediately, we would prepare, gather evidence, develop technologies that could actually make a difference when the time came to fight back. The preservation spheres were just the beginning," Chen explained. "Each one contains not just our people, but generations of technological development. While we slept, our AIs continued to work, continued to advance our understanding and our capabilities. What you see here represents over 2,000 years of uninterrupted scientific progress." Zyra's scientific mind raced with the implications. The sphere's construction. It's not just advanced, it's operating on principles we don't even understand yet. "Correct," Chen confirmed. "We've learned to manipulate dimensions beyond traditional space-time, developed ways to shield ourselves from the architect's influence, created weapons that could actually affect beings that exist partly outside our reality." "But why reveal yourselves now?" Keth asked. The holographic display shifted one final time, showing a pattern of disturbances spreading across the galaxy like a wave. "Because we're running out of time. The architect's work is accelerating. Within the next century, they'll begin the final phase of their universal reconstruction. If we don't stop them, this galaxy, and every living thing in it, will be erased to make way for whatever they're building. So now we need allies," Chen continued. The preservation spheres are activating across the galaxy, making similar contact with other species. We've spent 2 millennia preparing for this fight, but we can't win it alone. We need the galaxy united, need everyone's unique perspectives and capabilities. Zyra studied the humans around her with new understanding. They hadn't fled in fear. They had sacrificed everything, removed themselves from history, endured millennia of isolation, all to protect a galaxy that had rejected their warnings. Their dedication was both inspiring and terrifying. "What do you need from us?" she asked, her tendrils moving in a pattern of determination. Chen's expression softened slightly. "First, we need you to understand what you're seeing here. The technology, the preparations. This isn't just humanity's legacy. This is our gift to the galaxy. Everything we've developed, every advancement we've made, we're prepared to share. But more importantly, we need your help to convince others. The architect's work is becoming more visible now. The evidence is harder to dismiss. With your scientific reputation and our data, we might finally be able to make the galaxy understand the threat it faces." "And then?" Keth asked, his bioluminescence steadying as he absorbed the magnitude of what they were discussing. "Then," Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of 2,000 years of purpose, "we show the architects that this universe doesn't belong to them alone. That life, in all its diverse forms, has the right to exist. And we teach them that humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't our technology or our preparations." "What was it?" Zyra found herself asking. "The understanding that sometimes the only way to face an impossible threat is to stand together and fight back, even against gods." The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Preservation spheres, identical to Haven 1, appeared in system after system, each making contact with local authorities. The Galactic Council chambers erupted into chaos as reports flooded in from every sector. Humanity hadn't just hidden. They had orchestrated the most elaborate strategic deployment in galactic history. Aboard Haven 1, Commander Chen and her crew monitored the awakening cascade. Holographic displays showed hundreds of spheres activating simultaneously, their positions forming an intricate web throughout the galaxy. Zara and Keth had remained aboard as official scientific liaisons, their expertise proving invaluable in bridging the gap between human and alien perspectives. Preservation Sphere Haven 47 has made successful contact with the Vorathi Empire, Araya reported. Haven 122 has established communication with the Xerxes Collective. Haven 89 reports successful interface with the Medusan Confederation. "Any resistance so far?" Chen asked, studying the tactical display. "Minimal. Our predictive models were accurate. The strategic placement of each sphere near major population centers, combined with our technological demonstrations, has resulted in a 97% peaceful contact rate." Zyra watched in amazement as the display updated in real time. "You positioned yourselves near every major species in the galaxy. The planning involved. 2,000 years gives you time to be thorough," Chen replied with a slight smile. "Each sphere was placed to maximize our ability to protect key populations while minimizing potential hostile reactions. We studied every species' cultural evolution, predicted their developmental paths, and adjusted our approach accordingly." A new alert flashed across the tactical display. "Commander," Araya announced, "we're receiving the first confirmed observations of architect activity from Haven 233. The dimensional distortions are becoming visible to conventional sensors." The room's atmosphere tensed immediately. Chen gestured, expanding the relevant section of the display. "Show me." The hologram shifted to show a region of space near the galaxy's core. To normal vision, nothing seemed amiss, but the sensor overlays told a different story. Reality itself was being stretched and folded, fundamental forces warping in patterns that defied natural law. "It's happening faster than we predicted," one of the awakened scientists noted, his face grim. "The architects are accelerating their timeline." "Then we accelerate ours," Chen decided. Initiate Phase 2 of the Awakening Protocol. Authorization: Chen, Alpha 79. Phase 2 authorize. Area confirmed. Initiating Deep Space Array activation. New points of light began appearing on the tactical display, far from any star systems or established territories. Zyra's tendrils writhed in shock as she realized what she was seeing. Those aren't just preservation spheres, are they? No, Chen confirmed. Those are our military installations, shipyards, weapons platforms, research facilities, everything we've spent 2 millennia building. We couldn't risk them being discovered prematurely, so we hid them in the spaces between stars, protected by dimensional shields that kept them slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. The scale of the revelation was staggering. Hundreds of facilities were appearing, each larger than Haven 1. Massive ships began emerging from the hidden shipyards, their designs unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They moved in ways that suggested they weren't entirely bound by conventional physics, their hulls gleaming with the same shifting patterns as the preservation spheres. By the eternal void, Keth whispered, his bioluminescence pulsing with awe. You didn't just hide. You built an entire civilization in secret. We had to, Chen explained. The architects operate on a scale that makes conventional warfare meaningless. We needed to develop technologies that could actually affect them, weapons that could reach into the higher dimensions where they exist. Every ship you see there is equipped with systems that can detect, track, and engage entities operating outside normal spacetime. A new alert sounded, more urgent than the others. Commander, Araya's voice carried an edge of concern that Sarah hadn't heard before. We're detecting a response from the architects. The dimensional distortions are changing pattern. They know we can see them now. Chen's expression hardened. They were bound to notice eventually. Araya, send the signal to all Haven facilities. Initiate full military deployment. It's time to show the architects that this galaxy has teeth. The tactical display erupted with activity as thousands of ships began moving into predetermined defensive positions. Each vessel carried weapons that could tear holes in reality itself, shields that could withstand forces that shouldn't exist in normal space, and crews that had trained in virtual environments for centuries while their bodies slept. Keth. Chen turned to the junior researcher. I need you to return to the Celestial Seeker. Take our data on the architect's activity to the Galactic Council. They need to understand that this isn't a human problem anymore. This is about the survival of all life in the galaxy. And me. Zyra asked, her tendrils moving in a pattern of determination. I want you here, Chen replied. Your expertise in synorchaeology might give us insights we've missed. The architects have been influencing this galaxy for millions of years. There might be clues to their weaknesses in the ruins of ancient civilizations. As Keth departed for his ship, Zyra watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Humanity had spent 2 millennia preparing for this moment, building weapons and defenses on a scale that boggled the mind. But they were about to face entities that treated galaxies as construction materials, beings that existed in dimensions beyond normal comprehension. Commander, she asked quietly, do we actually have a chance? Chen's eyes remained fixed on the display, watching as her forces moved into position across the galaxy. 2,000 years ago, when we first discovered the architects, everyone said fighting them was impossible. But humanity has a long history of doing the impossible, and now we have something we didn't have back then. What's that? A galaxy full of allies who are about to discover that extinction isn't the only option. Sometimes, when you face gods, you just need the courage to stand up and say no. Chen smiled grimly. And humanity. We've gotten very good at saying no to gods. The Galactic Council's emergency session marked the first time in recorded history that every spacefaring species had gathered in one place. The massive chamber, designed to accommodate beings of wildly different biologies and environmental needs, hummed with tension as Keth presented the evidence of the architect's activities. Thousands of light years away, aboard Haven 1, Zyra and Commander Chen watched the proceedings through quantum-linked displays. The junior researcher's bioluminescence pulsed with conviction as he showed the assembled representatives exactly what humanity had discovered 2 millennia ago. The patterns are undeniable. Keth's voice rang through the chamber. The architect's influence can be seen in the death of stars, the manipulation of fundamental forces, the gradual rewriting of physical laws themselves. Humanity didn't abandon the galaxy. They stepped back to prepare our only chance at survival. The chamber erupted into overlapping voices, each species trying to process the implications in their own way. The Vorathi representatives' crystalline forms vibrated with distress frequencies. The Medusan delegates' neural nets pulsed with rapid-fire calculations. The Exarch's collective's hive-mind representatives fell into intense internal debate. Even if what you say is true, the High Speaker of the Council's inner circle finally cut through the chaos. What do you expect us to do against beings that can reshape reality itself? A new voice answered. Commander Sarah Chen, her holographic form materializing in the center of the chamber. We expect you to fight, not because victory is certain, but because the alternative is extinction. She gestured, and the chamber filled with holographic displays, showing humanity's hidden military installations. For 2,000 years, we've developed technologies specifically designed to combat the architects. But we've also studied every species in this galaxy, learned your strengths, understood how your unique perspectives and abilities could contribute to this fight. The displays shifted, showing specific technological integrations. The Vorathi's crystalline computing could revolutionize our dimensional sensors. The Medusan's neural architecture could enhance our response times against trans-dimensional threats. The Exarch's collective's hive-mind coordination could optimize our fleet movements across the galaxy. You've been watching us. The Vorathi Prime accused, their crystalline form resonating with complex emotions, studying us without our knowledge. Yes, Chen admitted without hesitation, because we knew this day would come, because we needed to understand how every species in this galaxy could contribute to its own survival. We didn't hide to abandon you. We hid to protect you, to prepare for this moment. In Haven One's command center, Zyra watched the Council's reactions through the quantum feed. Her scientific training helped her analyze the subtle signs of shifting opinions, the gradual movement from shock to understanding. Commander, ARIA interrupted. We're detecting increased architect activity in multiple sectors. The dimensional distortions are becoming more pronounced. Chen's hologram in the council chamber flickered as she received the update. We're out of time for debate. The architects know we can see them now, and they're accelerating their plans. Every moment we waste arguing is a moment they use to further destabilize our reality. She gestured again, and new holographic displays appeared before each council member. These are technological packages tailored to each of your species, ways to integrate your existing capabilities with our anti-architect systems. We're not asking you to trust us blindly. We're giving you the means to verify everything we've shown you, to understand the threat for yourselves. And if we refuse, the High Speaker asked, though their tone suggested they already knew the answer, then you'll face the end alone. Chen replied simply, humanity will fight regardless. We didn't spend 2,000 years preparing to give up now. But our chances of success increase exponentially with each species that joins us. The architects may be godlike, but they've never faced a united galaxy fighting for its survival. Zyra watched as the council chamber fell into intense discussion. Species that had been rivals for millennia were suddenly finding common ground in the face of extinction. Ancient grudges were being set aside as the reality of their situation sank in. The High Speaker raised their ceremonial staff, calling for order. We will need time to verify this information, to understand these technologies you're offering. You have 12 hours, Chen's hologram replied. After that, we begin military operations against the architects whether you've decided or not. Their work has progressed too far to allow further delay. As the council broke into smaller groups to examine the technical data, Zyra turned to the real Chen beside her in Haven One's command center. 12 hours isn't much time for them to process all of this. It's all the time we can give them, Chen replied, studying the tactical displays showing the spreading dimensional distortions. The architects are responding to our emergence faster than we anticipated. We've lost the element of surprise. Now we need to move before they can fully adapt to our presence. And if the council refuses to help, they won't, Chen said with quiet certainty. We've spent 2,000 years studying every species in this galaxy. We know how they think, how they react to threats. Right now, they're afraid and uncertain. But they're also seeing proof that the architects can be fought. That extinction isn't inevitable. Hope is a powerful motivator, especially when backed by concrete solutions. New alerts flashed across the tactical displays. Commander Araya announced, "We're receiving responses from individual council members. The Vorathi Empire is pledging their full support. The Medusan Confederation is requesting immediate technical integration protocols. The Xerxes Collective is offering their entire hive fleet." Chen's expression remained focused, but Zyra saw the slight relaxation in her posture. Begin integration procedures. Priority to defensive systems first. We need to get their worlds protected before the architects realize what we're doing. As the command center erupted into activity, Zyra watched the tactical displays update with new fleet movements. Ships of various species were beginning to coordinate with human vessels, sharing data, establishing joint command protocols. Ancient enemies were placing themselves under unified command structures, all working together with a speed that would have seemed impossible just days ago. "It's really happening," she said softly. "The galaxy is uniting." Chen nodded, her eyes on the spreading dimensional distortions that marked the architect's work. "Now comes the hard part, teaching a galaxy's worth of species how to fight gods. And we have to do it before the gods realize what we're planning." A new alert sounded, more urgent than the others. Commander Araya's voice carried an unmistakable note of concern. "We're detecting massive dimensional shifts in the galactic core. The architects, they're changing their pattern. This isn't like anything we've seen before." "Show me," Chen ordered, and the tactical display shifted to show the galaxy's heart. Reality itself seemed to be unraveling around the central black hole, space and time twisting in ways that defied comprehension. They're not just accelerating, Zyra realized, her scientific training helping her understand the patterns. They're changing their entire approach. They know we can fight them now. "Good," Chen said, and there was a fierce pride in her voice. "Let them change their plans. Let them realize they're not just reshaping empty space anymore. This galaxy belongs to all of us, and it's time they learn that even gods can bleed." The galaxy burned with dimensional fire. Around the core, space itself shattered and reformed as the architects fully revealed themselves for the first time. Their true forms defied comprehension, vast geometries that existed in dimensions beyond normal spacetime, their movements leaving trails of twisted reality in their wake. Aboard Haven One, now serving as the command center for the United Galactic Fleet, Commander Chen watched as the tactical displays struggled to represent what their sensors were detecting. The architects weren't just changing their approach, they were emerging fully into our reality, bringing their full power to bear. "Multiple dimensional breaches detected," Araya reported, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding across every display. "The architects are attempting to accelerate their reconstruction process. Time dilation effects are spreading from the core." "Status of the fleet," Chen demanded, her eyes fixed on the swirling chaos at the galaxy's heart. "The Vorathi crystalline shields are holding against the reality distortions. Medusan neural networks are successfully predicting dimensional breach points with 78% accuracy. The Xerxes hive fleet is maintaining perfect formation despite temporal interference." Zyra studied the tactical displays with growing concern. Her xenorchaeological expertise had helped identify patterns in the architect's behavior, but this was different. They're not just trying to reshape reality anymore, she realized. They're trying to rewrite its fundamental laws. If they succeed, all forces, Chen's voice carried across the quantum network linking the combined fleet. Execute Operation Starforge. Primary targets only. Let's show them why you don't underestimate life. The galaxy's united forces moved with perfect coordination, 2,000 years of human planning combining with the unique abilities of a dozen species. Vorathi ships formed crystalline matrices that channeled energy in ways that shouldn't be possible. Medusan vessels predicted and intercepted dimensional breaches before they fully formed. The Xerxes Hive Fleet moved as a single organism, adapting instantly to the architects' attempts to warp space around them. And at the heart of it all, humanity's secret weapons finally revealed their true purpose. The ships that had emerged from hidden shipyards weren't just warships. They were reality anchors, designed to stabilize space-time itself against the architect's influence. Phase 1 complete, HFY announced as the combined fleet took up their positions around the galactic core. Reality anchor network at 97% efficiency. Dimensional stabilization field holding. For the first time since they had emerged, the architects' advance slowed. Their attempt to accelerate their plans had been checked by defenses they had never anticipated facing. But their response was immediate and devastating. Space twisted impossibly as the architects brought weapons of their own to bear, forces that didn't just destroy matter but erased it from existence, writing it out of reality's equation entirely. Dozens of ships vanished in the first assault, their crews and technology simply ceasing to have ever been. Hold formation. Chen's voice cut through the panic that threatened to break the fleet's coordination. This is what we prepared for. HFY. Initiate the Prometheus Protocol. Prometheus Protocol engage. HFY confirmed. Warning. This action will have irreversible consequences for local space-time stability. The reality anchors that humanity had positioned throughout the galaxy began to pulse with new energy. But instead of just stabilizing space-time, they began to actively reshape it, using the architect's own methods against them. To all ships, Chen broadcast, fall back to minimum safe distance. What we're about to do, just trust us one more time. The Allied fleet pulled back as humanity's true plan revealed itself. The reality anchors weren't just defensive technologies. They were the key components of a weapon that humanity had spent 2 millennia designing. A weapon designed to fight gods. Prometheus Protocol at full power, HFY reported. Dimensional convergence initiating. The space around the galactic core began to change. The reality anchors weren't just affecting normal space. They were creating a new kind of space, one that forced higher dimensions to intersect with our own reality. The architects, beings that existed primarily in those higher dimensions, suddenly found themselves being pulled fully into our universe. By the void, Zyra breathed as she understood what she was seeing. You're not just fighting them. You're making them fully real, making them exist entirely in our dimensions. Can't fight a god, Chen agreed grimly, unless you make them mortal first. The architect's response was immediate and terrible. Reality itself screamed as they fought against the dimensional convergence, their power threatening to tear apart the very fabric of space-time. But they had never faced this kind of attack before, had never imagined that the lesser beings they had dismissed could find a way to drag them down from their higher realm. All ships, Chen's voice carried the weight of 2,000 years of preparation. Execute final attack pattern. Show them what mortality feels like. The combined fleet struck as one. Vorathi crystal ships channeled energy in ways that the newly materialized architects couldn't ignore. Medusan vessels predicted and exploited weaknesses in their now partially physical forms. The Xerxes Hive Fleet coordinated strikes with impossible precision. And humanity's ships, carrying weapons designed specifically for this moment, began to tear the architects apart. The battle that followed defied description. Even as they were dragged fully into our reality, the architects wielded powers that could reshape planets and snuff out stars. But for the first time in their incomprehensible existence, they faced something they had never truly experienced before: resistance, opposition, the collected will of an entire galaxy of life that refused to be erased. Multiple architect entities showing signs of destabilization, HFY reported. The dimensional convergence is holding. They can't escape back to their higher dimensions. One by one, the impossible geometries of the architects began to break apart. Their attempts to rewrite reality faltered and failed as they found themselves bound by the very laws they had sought to change. The combined fleet pressed its advantage, coordinating attacks with a precision born of desperate necessity. And then, suddenly, it was over. The last architect entity collapsed in on itself, its higher dimensional form unable to maintain coherence in normal spacetime. The dimensional fires around the galactic core guttered and died. Reality, stretched to its breaking point, began to slowly heal itself. In Haven 1's command center, silence fell as the tactical displays showed the aftermath of their victory. The fleet had suffered heavy losses, but they had achieved what should have been impossible. They had fought gods, and they had won. "Status report," Chen ordered, her voice hoarse. "Dimensional stabilization holding," Araya replied. "The architect entities have been eliminated. Their influence on local spacetime is dissipating. The galaxy is safe." Zyra's tendrils moved in patterns that expressed awe and disbelief. "You actually did it. You found a way to fight beings that existed beyond normal reality." "No," Chen corrected her gently. "We all did it. Humanity provided the tools, but it took every species working together to make this victory possible. We didn't just save the galaxy. We proved that life, in all its forms, is stronger than any power that would try to erase it." As the combined fleet began to assess their losses and tend to their wounded, new messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Species that had been bitter enemies for millennia were offering each other aid and support. The bonds forged in facing extinction together were already reshaping galactic society. "What happens now?" Zyra asked, watching as ships of different species coordinated rescue operations with seamless efficiency. Chen smiled, the first real smile Zyra had seen from her since the awakening. Now we help build something the architects never could have imagined. A truly united galaxy. After all, we've got about 2,000 years of technological advances to share.